you're here to see Mr. Borden. Didn't you come to see Mr. Borden last week on business, right?
Yes.
To rent that shop up on South Main in Anagon, right? Well, I don't think that's going to happen now, sir. I'm sorry to tell you. His remains are still in the sitting room on the sofa there, right through that door. I don't know what to tell you. Some madman came in this morning and hacked him up. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. The doctor came in and I went up and got a sheet.
If you must, but I must warn you, this is not for the faint of heart or smell. The funeral will be held Saturday at 11 o'clock with prayers given by Dr. Adams and interment at Oak Grove Cemetery, of course. Miss Lizzie requested one of my finest solid cedar coffins with silver handles on the side, lined with black broadcloth on the top. Unfortunately, Mr. Borden suffered 10 or 11 wounds to his head and a fearful cut to his left eye.
Oh, God.
Oh. I do not know how we shall ever have an open coffin. Dr. Dolan?
I'm Dr. Michael Dolan. I'm the city medical examiner for Fall River. Detective Seaver, good to see you this morning. Good to see you, sir.
What may I do for you, Dr. Dolan?
Mr. Winwood. I know you've been very patient this morning, but before I can release the body, I have some information. There will be a delay.
The delay?
A delay. I'm very sorry, sir, but during the course of the investigation, the police have been interviewing Miss Lizzie, and she's made some rather startling accusations, and she's alleging some things that must be investigated. First of all, Miss Lizzie stated that her father had an enemy.
An enemy?
An enemy. She didn't elaborate on that, but that's what she stated. In addition to that, she stated that the entire family was ill this week.
Really?
And so,
This is the first I have heard of this,
Well, that's
Dr.
true,
Dolan.
sir.
that's what she, and Bridget confirms that the family wasn't feeling well for
All
the
of us,
entire
right.
week. Well, I need to pursue this part of the investigation, and I'm afraid the delay.
So nice of you coming for our dear neighbor, Miss Lizzie. I rushed right over when I saw Lizzie at the back door, clearly excited. Something was wrong.
I was in the barn looking for lead to make a sinker. I have a fishing trip in Marion with friends on Monday.
A fishing trip?
Yes, a fishing trip. And I thought I might need some lead for my lines. So I went to the barn to look for some lead. And while I was up there, I ate some pears. I spent about 15 or 20 minutes in the barn eating my pears. Then I came back into the house, and before I came into the house, I thought I heard a groan, or, yes, a groan or a scraping noise, it sounded like to me. So I came into the dining room here, actually, and I put my hat on the dining room table, and then I went through the door and I found Father all cut up on the sofa. It was terrible, and then you came over, and then I called for Bridget.
Right. And as I told these
I
people
just
here.
might.
Right.
Thank you,
You
ma'am.
do that, sir.
But, Lizzie, where is your mother? Mrs. Borden. Where is Mrs. Borden?
Mrs. Borden. I actually believe I heard her come back in.
Come back in.
Yes.
Well, Bridget and I just went up back to fetch some sheets for Andrew.
Then she must have gone up the front stairs. Maggie, go look.
What, up there?
Yes.
Oh, no, Miss Lizzie, come on now. There
Do as
might
I
be
say.
still be the maniac looking around
Do
up there,
as I
right?
say.
Bridget, come quick. Bridget, what's on her? On her neck. Some of the blows were so fierce that actually some of her hair has been severed and ended up on the top of the bed. The blood I've noticed underneath her head is congealed. She's been like this for a short while. The most distressing wound that I've noticed was Mrs. Borden has a cut over the left ear, and that wound is from the front. This poor woman certainly saw her killer. Bridget, I'm going to need to summon the police up here. We have another crime scene.
Banging on my door and told me that Mr. Borden had been murdered. I've just discovered, as well as you, obviously, that Mrs. Borden has been murdered as well. How frightening is that? Did you know that this was Lizzie's room? Have you been here before, any of you?
No.
To visit, you have? Did you know this was Lizzie's room? And that small room there is Emma's? But I told you that I used to live in the Kelly house next door. They live there now. I moved away from that house because there was a murder there as well. A lady by the name of Lizzie Borden threw 3 of her children down the well on that property. Did you know that she was married to Letterwood Borden? And they were relatives to these Bordens. So I moved away and I moved over to Borden Street. But this photo is very, very sweet, isn't it? This is Sarah.
I got a message sent to me by Boston Union from Dr. Bowen to come home that my father was ill. He just picked me up at the station and in the carriage he told me my father had been killed. He was
Miss Emma.
dead. Yes.
I am
Where are
Detective
you?
Seaver,
Detective Seaver. Where are you from?
Massachusetts State Police.
Massachusetts State Police.
Please, I offer you my deepest sympathy. Your father has been murdered,
My father has been murdered.
along with your stepmother, Abby.
Mrs. Borden?
Mrs. Borden
Is
is
dead?
dead.
Oh my. And father also?
That is correct.
Who did this?
We do not know, but Miss Emma, I must inform you and our visitors, we need to conduct a search for any... Please, keep looking, keep looking.
Oh, there's
A hatchet, oh my goodness.
that has a broken handle.
A broken handleless hatchet. Please, I need as much help as possible.
If you could do this quickly, Detective Seaver.
Miss Emma, I am trying.
And it has blood on it.
Blood? Please don't touch it. There has been several weapons found already. We have found 3 possible
Run home
weapons.
and fetch your mother. Now.
Oh, I bet you're glad. My mother says you and your sister Lizzie never liked my Aunt Abby anyway.
Really?
Now, Abby, Lizzie and I were very cordial to Mrs. Borden. Now, I told you to go home and fetch your mother. You go home and fetch your mother.
There are 2 bad boys in the hayloft.
Such insolence.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you see inside? They won't let me in. Because I'm a woman and I'm a reporter and they don't like either. Yes, they won't. First of all, they expect a man reporter. So it wasn't supposedly that interesting, so they said me. Well, when I get back and tell them there was a murder, guaranteed there's going to be a man. But I need to know, what did you see?